Hi, welcome back. My name is Chris from We Communicate, the very best in British teaching of French in America. British French in America has a certain ring to it, I think. I'm going to go with this in future. So anyway, in this video I'd like to talk about the financials of language learning, what it should cost, what it could cost, and how to make some sort of a plan before you embark on a foreign language course. In this case we're talking about learning French specifically. Why? Because it's a specific market that's characterized by the fact that any French person is also de facto a French teacher, whether they're 12 or 52. They're all teachers of French in France. Not really, but I thought I'd open this video with some sort of little cheeky joke, but there is some truth to it. Also in this landscape we have what could be described as the equivalent to the Christian missionaries, but for French, the good old Alliance Française, which sort of acts as the temple of French that many consider to be the best of all, but interestingly, without the Alliance ever saying that themselves, so that they're really just about promoting the French culture abroad. It's a cultural mission first and foremost, but in this landscape we do have the Alliance Française. And I'm saying this why? Because it's all part of the landscape, and I'm sure that when we learn Russian, for example, it's a completely different landscape with different resources, different types of teachers, and each language we learn has a scene that's unique to that language. And this is an important first step when we consider the financials of learning French, like who's selling and what are they selling. When we consider the financials of French classes, as with all things, it's going to be very subjective. People will spend $100 a year on the Disney Channel, for example, and between $700 and $1,400 a year on takeaway coffee alone, especially if they're American and they drink a cup a day. All this points towards the very subjective and emotional nature of spending. For some, $40 a year is what they'll allow themselves to spend on French. A new iPhone can cost up to $600, so there's always money available for some things but not for others, and it just depends what our personal values are. For this reason it makes it very hard to determine a fair price for a French course. Now, before I go into the specifics of it and share with you my own checklist if I were to buy a new language course starting tomorrow, I want to mention one last thing. I think it's interesting for each of us to do this experiment. Ask yourself this question: if I could know French a year from now, imagine you don't speak French or you know a bit of French, if I could know French a year from now, how much would this knowledge be worth? What would I be willing to pay for this to happen? If I picture myself now, a year from now, speaking French, knowing French, what value do I put on this? Is it worth $30? Is it worth $500? Is it worth $2,000? I think it's a very interesting question that each of us can ask ourselves. So with all this being said, here's how I would break down the purchasing of a language course if I were to learn a language, a new language, with intent, I insist, with intent, starting tomorrow. Number one, the very first thing I would do, well, I would want guarantees. If I was starting tomorrow to learn a new language, I would want some sort of guarantee. And as a self-employed person especially, time is literally worth money, and I need to get stuff done at every minute of the day, as I'm sure many of you do too, and I think Americans can especially relate to this. So I don't want to embark on a language course that resembles a dark corridor. If I can see the starting line clearly, but I have no idea what the finishing line looks like, it's not good enough. I want a clear deal that tells me, do this, complete this, and you will know, for example, Russian at the end of it. Russian, Hebrew or Danish, whatever language you're interested in. I want guarantees, and I want an all-inclusive experience. I want it to be the starting point and the finishing point. I want a guarantee. I want strict guidelines, and I want to know exactly when I start, what will happen, and when I finish the course, what will happen. That's my first condition. The second guarantee I'd be looking at is for the course to have some sort of harmony. As goes the saying, too many cooks spoils the broth, and if a certain course has been developed over a number of years by several tutors or teachers, I will fear a lack of harmony, and I won't know who supervised this thing, and I will fear that it will feel disjointed if too many people worked on it for too long. So I'll be wanting harmony in the course, because this can lead to a lot of wasted time and ultimately wasted money. So I'll likely be looking for a smaller course from a smaller school rather than something larger. And take, for example, Rosetta Stone, that I'm sure a lot of you will know of, Rosetta Stone. I don't know who these people are. And it may seem like a basic question, but I don't know who they are. I simply don't. I do know that Rosetta Stone, to go on about Rosetta Stone, they're now owned by IXL Learning with 16 million students worldwide. Who knows what the hell's going on there? I don't, and I can't trust that. You see, I want harmony. I don't want a course that's been sold to people that you don't know who owns it, you don't know who developed it, they've been developing it for too long. I can't trust it. I don't know who's in charge or who made it. I would fear this, personally. The next point I would look at is very short. I would want some kind of proof. Simply. I would want some kind of proof. Show me at least one student who's acquired some sort of fluency thanks to your program. I just want to see that. I want to witness it for myself. I don't want people say on YouTube, I did this program for 6 months, it's absolutely wonderful, I loved it. No, I want to see it. I want to hear you speak. I want to see you interact with people in a foreign language, and I want you to swear on whatever you hold sacred. That's your only source of learning, and you've learned that foreign language in a year or two with that unique source, that exclusive source, and I want to know that it works. If I don't see it work, I can't trust it. And again, it takes me back to saving time and giving value to time. I want to buy right the first time. I don't want to skip between systems and try a bit of this, a bit of that, and a bit of that. I want to get the job done. Remember, I want to learn a foreign language, so I'm starting tomorrow. A year from now, it has to be done. I want it to be sorted. I don't want to be making mistakes, wasting time, having to backtrack, having to say, oh, that wasn't good enough, or don't want any of that. So that would be my third condition. Next one, number 4, the fourth thing I would be looking at, not everyone will agree with this one, but I would definitely be looking for an online course that I can do mostly alone. I want independence and fluidity. Independence and fluidity, and here's why. A lot of people, when they approach language learning, are looking for something that's familiar to them. You know, we usually buy what's already familiar. These are just rules of business and of marketing. We all do it. So when they look for a French course, they look for what's familiar, and usually it's school. They're looking for that classroom, they're looking for benches, they're looking for other students, they're looking for a blackboard, they're looking for a teacher, that type of setup that reminds them of school. But the thing is, with this setup, even though it seems very familiar, I wouldn't go with that. For the simple reason, well, first of all, it's very time consuming, as I'm sure you can work out, but also most of the hour that you pay for in these group classes doesn't equate to the time that you're learning. So you pay for a certain amount of minutes, but that is not equivalent with what you walk away with. 60 minutes of class does not equate to 60 minutes of learning. And I would even say that I think 3/4 of each hour that you pay for in these group classes is just wasted. That's my estimate. So you pay for 60, but you really get 15. They move at a snail's pace. That's the next thing with group classes. They move at a snail's pace. And you're dependent on the class dynamic to move forward. And of course, if the language school is clever, and many of them are, what they'll do very often is they'll lock you in a level, sometimes without even telling you. So they'll lock you in a level and make it compulsory to pass the level test at the end of the course to enable you to allow you to go on to the next level. And of course, the more you fail, the more you have to purchase the course, and on it goes. And it's in their interest, it's simple business, it's in their interest to have you buy the course twice. You may have the impression that you're learning as well as with an individual tutor, but you're really not. So that's the fourth criteria that I would look at when learning a new language starting tomorrow. This brings me to point number 5, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. It's my view on the world. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I would look at the potential use of my time. So not just in terms of financial value, but in terms almost of a parallel reality, because I usually think in these terms. You know, when I do something, I'm always thinking, what could I have done? Could I have done it better? Could I have done it quicker? How much potential time have I saved, or on the contrary, wasted? Mostly, I want all of my actions to be meaningful and to lead to something tangible. If I take, for example, a 10-hour course, I'll be thinking, if it's not up to par, I'll be thinking, well, damn, you know, could have gone much faster. So I'm thinking in terms of the the potential path I could have followed. I bought my 10-hour course, but it could have gone a lot quicker, and that will annoy me. If they'd given clearer explanations, I'd already be over there instead of here. He said that will really annoy me. So that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's just my take on it. And I'll add to this last thing I said, even though it might seem a bit intense, it will annoy me to have to clean up someone else's mess and to have to make up for lost time. A lot, in fact, of high-flying business people who are often self-employed even put a number on their time. You know, it's just another level, but it does happen. They'll say, for example, my hourly worth is $30 or $200. So if you take a badly designed course, imagine you're learning a language in a badly designed course, well, you're giving up time elsewhere. So even though the course might be $60 an hour, these people are thinking in terms of, yes, but my time is worth $200 an hour. You see how it adds up double. You're not just paying for the course, you're also losing. But that's, you know, for high-flying business people do think in these terms, you know. So in a sense, if you purchase something that's badly done, you're losing double. You're losing how you could have best used your time to make money or just do whatever interests you. It's not just financial, it's also maximizing your time, because time is very limited. Of course, you know, time never comes back. It's the highest value. It's about thinking about the potential things you could have done with your time, because of course time never comes back, and it's even more valuable than money. And I personally live by that principle, maximizing my time, trying to do the most I can every day, because it's simply too important. So that would definitely come into play when I look for a language course. Number 6, the next thing I would do if I was looking to learn a new language tomorrow, I would definitely be purchasing a course, because free is just an illusion. As I mentioned a second ago, there's always a price on things. And as I see it, the highest price of all is time. So your course might be free, and you might give up 6 months of time for a free app or something to learn French. But of course, if you're young, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time, or at least you have the illusion that there's plenty of time. But older people would rather pay and get the job done right than play around with free solutions. I don't want to find myself playing with a course that's free and then realizing 6 months down the line that it's leading to absolutely nowhere. I might not have lost any money, although potentially I did, because I could have been using my time in more constructive ways, but I certainly lost 6 months worth of time, which will never come back. And if you're older, you'll relate to this a lot better than if you're young. Number 7, I would want to know exactly what's going to happen. So I'm purchasing a course, I'm looking for a language course, I want it to happen within a year. I should be able to ask the person selling me the course what's going to happen. I'll ask, okay, well, if I finish your course, where can I expect to be? What's going to happen a year from now? And what will be left after the course is finished? I want to know what's left. What will I know of the language and what's left? The end of the course is as important as the start of the course to me. So that's point number 7. And number 8, probably the last thing I'd do is I'd look for qualifications and passion. Knowing me, it's probably something I would do. I would look for someone who would tell me, well, this foreign language will absolutely happen for you, and here's why. I would want to hear them sell me the passion. I would want to hear that. I would want to hear that they have the qualifications to make it happen, and I would want to hear that they have the passion to make it happen. And I'll want them on the phone. And if I can't get through to a human being at one of these, for example, big language platforms, I mentioned Rosetta Stone, but I could have mentioned any other. If I can't get through on the phone to a human being who can explain to me why this is, why they're passionate, or why that language will absolutely happen, or why they're qualified and they know what they're talking about, well, sorry, I'm just not interested. And knowing me, that's what's going to happen. I don't want to speak to a secretary who wasn't even involved in the building of the course. I don't want someone on the phone telling me some generic message, oh, we only employ first-class tutors, or we're experts in our fields. So I'd want passion, and I'd want qualifications, and I'd want, probably experience also. I'd want to have that tutor on the phone, I'd want them to tell me, okay, tell me why your course is good. Tell me why you're good. Tell me why you love doing what you do. I'd want to hear that. Because I'm starting tomorrow, and a year from now, I want things to happen. I want to know that language. That's point number 8. So to conclude this video, I think that the financials of learning a language take several aspects into account that are more complex than, for example, buying a loaf of bread. There are more questions to ask. There's, for example, the degree of certainty to consider. You'll want the start of the course to be as good as the finish, or rather the finish to be as good as the start. There's knowing who the builder of the course is. There's appreciating the fact that value and money are very subjective. There's understanding the potential loss of time and money in group classes, and there's staying clear of anything free. Essentially, I think the question is, how sure is the teacher about their own language course, and how do I know that it's going to happen for me? That's how I would go about it anyway. And then the question of the price sorts itself out. Because if you say, for example, well, this French course cost $1,000, but I absolutely know that French is going to happen, well, then those $1,000 start to shrink. You can already project yourself into the future as a person who knows French, and that's what we really want. If I'm starting a language course tomorrow, I want to know that a year from now it will have happened. That's my take on the financials of learning a language. Thank you very much for watching. Don't hesitate to comment if you found a great course, great value. If you've had unfortunate experiences, please leave a comment. Share with us what you think a good value course is. Are you happy with it? Did you get ripped off? Did you lose a lot of money? Did you save a lot of money? I'm interested in it all. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Chris from We Communicate. See you soon. Bye.